So I thought I'd take you on a bit of a jiggly walk with me today. Just for those that can't get outside. As long as I don't trip over anything on the way. This is the lovely Huon River. It's always a delight to see, particularly on days like today or at times like this. And so I really feel for people that are inside right now, and I've mentioned it before, particularly when there's they might be with abusive partners, or they could be, like I mentioned in another video, in Gaza, and it's a blockade and they can't get out. So and there's also people who are just in small apartments, and I really feel for the non-human animals that are in those apartments too at this time. So it's very difficult, but putting aside that governments can use this kind of thing as authoritarian measures, to bring in authoritarian measures, it's sort of very necessary in flattening the curve and putting a stop to any overburdening of the hospital system, which is what this is all about. It's not going to stop necessarily people getting infected eventually, but it's going to stop a mass infection that overwhelms the hospital systems, like it's doing in New York and other parts of the United States and Italy. So it's a bit smoky today because it's autumn and people are burning off leaf litter and branches that come down and stuff, so it's a little bit smoky, but beautiful nonetheless. So I've got to keep an eye on where I'm walking, otherwise I might go flat on my face, and that would be really great. After a couple of months ago breaking my arm, I can do without that again. A couple of things. Thanks for sticking with me on this channel. I know that I cover some things that some people might find very challenging. It's all related, and it's important, and if I didn't mention it, I'd have to ask myself why. Why am I not mentioning it? It was funny, something today from it's called The Rising, and it's by The Hill, which is a news source I don't endorse. It puts out a lot of anti-Chinese propaganda and all of that. It's a sort of at times a national security state propaganda piece, but they have a crystal ball on The Rising. She puts out some interesting points, and but somebody was sort of saying how Abby Martin wouldn't get a platform like that, even though the journalist Abby Martin had a platform on Russian TV, and luckily for RT.com, lucky we have that, because mostly anybody who calls out empire, US empire, won't get a look in, won't get a platform anywhere else, but probably in a mainstream setting, probably except for RT.com. So so anyway, poor Abby Martin, she's got her own show, and that's viewer supported, the Empire Files, but she wouldn't get a gig on The Rising, I don't think, because she doesn't hold back on calling out US empire, and shows like The Rising tend to just focus on domestic electoral politics, which is sort of safe, really, because a lot of people have a sort of a view either way, and so it's not really something that's that challenging, really. And in the end, electoral politics it's just all, a lot of it's just all theatre, making people believe they have some stake in democracy. But you only have to watch these general elections in the US to see that people don't. It's all just theatre, and like that saying goes, if voting ever changed anything, it'd be illegal. And what's really needed is a grassroots movement, non-violent grassroots movement, and for people to go on general strike to put an end and get some control back from this terrible disaster capitalism. So, and if they don't do that and take advantage of disaster capitalism on life support as it is right now, being bailed out once again, never have any trouble with the government, never have to think, how am I going to pay for that? Nobody asks them, how are you going to pay for it? You know why? Because, well, learn MMT. But, you know, it's on life support right now. And people could have them on the ropes right now if people just did a general strike. Because ultimately, all these rich people and oligarchs, the public outnumbers them. And people are the ones that help them make the money. They use people as resources to make money for them. So if you strike, if there was a general strike, well then, that'd be the end of that. You have them on the ropes, and then you are able to negotiate. Of course, the whole thing needs to be scrapped, but at the present time, when you have them on the ropes like this, using a boxing metaphor, you know, you can go in, but you have a bargaining power. And that's what I wish that, I've said this before, and I'm really, really hoping that people take this up. But people need to link up with organizations that are striking, that are encouraging strikes. I mean, neoliberalism and neoconservatism have destroyed union movements for this exact reason, because then you can't organize, and they don't want you to organize. They want you to go, oh, it's all hopeless. They want you to remain in learned helplessness. They want you to remain that way. So they don't want you to organize. And this is the exact time when people should be organizing. And I mean linking up with other groups that are organizing strikes. I mean, all the people in Amazon, yes, I realize that's supplying people with goods, but if you stop that for, say, a week, Jeff Bezos would freak out. I mean, the man is making hundreds of millions of dollars every some ridiculous amount of money. The guy is he's got $180 billion, you know, that's ridiculous. And here we have people working 3 jobs and still can't make ends meet. I mean, this has to end. You know what I'm saying. If you have been on this channel for a while and the veganism thing hasn't freaked you out and you've stuck with it, you know what I'm saying, right? It's got to go. This disaster capitalism, the whole capitalist thing, you can't put a happy face on something that is inherently exploitative. You cannot put a happy face on something that is inherently exploitative. So, you know, folks have got to get together and use this time, because otherwise it's just going to go back to this same awful, what they call normal. Let's get things back to quote-unquote normal. Who wants to go back to normal? Only the people that are exploitative and have something to gain from the way this quote-unquote normal is. And that is, in the United States, and to some extent here in this country, in Australia, that is people who have worked out how to fiddle the system and make the most money and exploit people to the maximum degree. So this has got to come to an end. And that's why this is the time to challenge this by striking. You have to hit these people where it hurts, in the pocket. You have to hit them in the pocket, because otherwise there's nothing else they understand. There's nothing else they understand but things damaging their profits. That's what they understand. Appealing to their better nature, appealing to their sense of empathy, forget it. Forget it. They don't have a sense of empathy. Maybe for their children, maybe. But they don't have it towards people they're exploiting. So appealing to big business and the capitalist class to do the right thing is pointless. They know what the right thing is and they don't want to do it. You know the saying, basically, power isn't going to concede anything. You have to demand. You have to make demands. So this is what we have to do. We have to make demands, and one of the ways is to hit them where it hurts in the pocket and strike. I hope that US citizens do that, because that system is aiming to kill them. And I don't say that lightly. It is killing people. I mean, look how Trump is handling this coronavirus pandemic. It's appalling. And stupid Joe Biden said he would veto Medicare for all. Look at the duopoly. They have a duopoly there. There's no ranked choice voting. And anybody that looks remotely progressive, like Bernie Sanders, they sabotage again and again and besmear him in the corporate-owned media. There is no Bernie Sanders around the corner, and he wasn't a fabulous candidate, to be honest. He had an imperialist sort of a position underneath it all. He still wanted to use drones. He didn't have the instinct to go in and hammer his opponents. He didn't have an instinct. He kept calling Joe Biden his good friend. He didn't have the instincts to win, basically. He changed the narrative, and that was wonderful, but he didn't have the instincts to win. And so there's no Bernie Sanders around the corner. So it's always been up to the people. Even he said that. It's always been up to people. I mean, these people, I know there's a lot of electoral fraud going on. There certainly is, and that's something absolutely that needs to be addressed before, even if you got the right candidate, somebody that was halfway decent, you're never going to get them in. I mean, look at what they've done to Bernie Sanders. I think there was definitely some fraud going on when the exit polls were so far from the actual vote counting. I think it was like 8% out. And usually if it's more than 4%, there's something dodgy going on. So, even if people get the right candidate, they're not going to be able to vote them in anyway. So this is why general strikes and boycotts is the way to go. Hit them where it hurts. And maybe there'll be some bargaining power happening. Disaster capitalism is going to kill you. It really is. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I really hope that my US friends can manage to be a part of a mass movement to end this dreadful, and there's so many people who are against capitalism at this point, like young people. So many. So utilize that. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name's Trish Roberts. You're watching Faint Signals from Vega. Till next time. Bye for now.